Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment, the podcast that brings you everything coming out of the world of movies and more, for however long that continues to be a thing. I'm Alexis, and I'm joined today by David, of course, here. This is going to be a episode that we'll be talking about, obviously, the latest coming out of the world of movies, which would include David Zaslav whoring out WB to either Netflix or to Megamount and all the drama behind that. And then also, as far as what the Golden Globes have announced for what they believe are the best movies of 2025. All that and more here on Red Spotlight number 521. I'm going to begin this week by going over to David. How are you doing? What have you been catching up with? Whether it be film, video games, books, TV shows, trips. I know you're probably looking forward to Percy Jackson. That might be a particular highlight of yours for this week. I'm also just very curious to hear about your overall mood. And I do have to praise you, though. I feel like out of anybody here on the show, you are very good at being able to block out, at least as far as the surface is concerned. Maybe I don't know that aspect of you just yet, but you are very good at hiding if you ever feel any kind of anxiety over the things that we cover. Originally, when we did this podcast, it was never at all anticipated that talking about movies would be stressful or even existential, and yet throughout the course of time, it has taken an unfortunate turn. And I know I'm just going to say it up front. Alexis is not able to join us tonight, not because she doesn't want to be here. She absolutely had much to say, and she may in fact send some voice notes over to provide her perspective on some of these issues down later on in this show, but she was busy obviously doing other things. However, a frequent panelist here who is absolutely not busy doing anything else but chose not to be on this show, that is because he, quite frankly, and this is what he told me, he just really doesn't have really anything to say beyond this is it. It's over. Movies are over. It's the end of the world. That's it. So that you have to understand. Okay, that's usual. And of course, you know me. Everybody knows that. Okay, so I really do have to commend you, because I don't know if it's not as if like you don't personally agree with what's happening. It just, you seem to be able to just keep going on strong and not really let it deter you or get to you, at least not that I've been able to see, because things have grown quite dire as of late, and you know, based on all appearance, you seem to be just fine. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just let people know, of course, as to why you may not be hearing or seeing certain people who usually are here. I would like to have Peter on for a show like this, but it has, this is different. This even more so than the last few years where things have, you know, just grown a lot more negative. You know, I feel like when Disney was acquiring 20th Century Fox, this show was never the same. Our attitude, our tone, and our demeanor was never the same. That was a lifetime ago at this point. This was 2018. Now we're in 2025, and here we are on the heels on yet another potential merger that is going to be quite catastrophic to an unfathomable degree. And I fear we are, as this is quite ominous, but as Scar would say from The Lion King, the dawning of a new era. For the industry that we're covering, for the art form that we love, and then it maybe even for the show. You may notice that, you know, we don't do the show as often as we did. There are many reasons for that, but it's gotten to a point where I like last week's podcast was great because we got to talk about movies that we liked, and that was a fun conversation. when we get to what we're talking about this week, not as much. So anyway, it's a long preamble to what we're going to be discussing this week, and I also wanted to turn it over to you to just catch us up with how you are doing, what you are consuming as a media lover. And I gotta say, as I recently was with you guys in your apartment, I really love the way that you've decorated the place. I mean, of course, I love all the physical media, the Blu-rays, the books, the I love it all. You guys are doing an amazing job. You really making that place feel like a home. And I also have to say, I am a fan of not just the brand new TV that you got, but those Hue lights that you got for it. Pretty good purchases, I would have to say. So, and I'm sure that's I'd like to hear about that as well, if you don't mind, about you being able to use that new wonderful television. I just noticed that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. poster behind you, so you get extra points for me on that. So go ahead, David. Go ahead and enlighten us on how you've been.
I'm good. Well, so for the redecoration here, I just went back to my parents' place last weekend and brought the last of the books and a couple of DVDs that we had left. I for last time couldn't find our steel books for Last Airbender and Legend of Korra show, and I brought that back now, so we have those. I sent you a picture of it before, like a long time ago, but they're so nice. And then I found my poster. I couldn't find it at first, and like I got worried for a second, going like, "Where'd you guys put the poster?" Like I thought I lost it, but they left it behind a window, or like the blinds of a window, to make it darker. And that's where I found it. It was
Okay.
yeah, because the blinds that they have there, like, it doesn't cover up much light. Like, it's a lot of it still comes in, and so they like put a blanket. They put that just to like block out as much light as they could. And it was funny because I was waking up and I'm like, why is it still dark? There's no way. It's gotta be morning by now, right? And so I looked like behind the blinds and I'm like, oh, okay, they did put something. And I'm looking at it closer and I'm like, that's the back of the poster, isn't it? And sure enough, once I fully woke up, I checked it and found it. Yeah, so it was worrisome for a while, but luckily I found it. And yeah, I just redecorated this because I brought more. On this shelf right there, there's some comic books that I had, and just the rest of the other books that I brought back. So that was a nice redecorating.
It's funny though, like the Shield poster makes its return, and I also see the Spider-Verse poster on the other side of it. And it's funny because the last Shield recap we did, we kind of were talking about a interesting connection between the two.
Oh yeah, didn't think
that
of
is
it.
really funny.
Nice.
I just realized it myself. I'm like, huh, maybe it was meant to be that way.
For sure. And then, well, talking about my TV, I got a new one and added some LED lights to the back of it. As soon as I saw videos of those, I was like, I gotta get these. That's awesome. They're so pretty. Yeah, they're pretty easy to set up. Got worried for a second because I'm like, oh, they don't seem as bright. Because for some reason, my other ones, these ones that I have like in front of me, seem brighter. But nah, I mean, it was just gotta get darker. So that's all it is. But yeah, they looks fantastic.
And the TV.
And the TV looks fantastic, for sure. You guys were messing with it when you guys first saw it, trying to make the quality better, and yeah, it looks great. What have I seen? I finally saw, I think we mentioned last time. No, not on the podcast. It was out off record. I saw the Sugarland Express movie. Still trying to catch up with all the Steven Spielberg stuff, but like you mentioned, Percy Jackson season 2 is coming out, and I was just binge watching some of the first season, trying to finish the second book, which is what the second season is going to be about. So trying to catch up with that. What else? No, yeah. And then obviously, I'm using the lights to look at those. Fantastic. And then well, you were mentioning how like I don't seem stressed out about this and all that. Couple of reasons. One, I enjoy other forms of media, anime, video games. Not that into music, but recently I've been buying like a lot of vinyl stuff. I was just listening to my God of War Ragnarok vinyl, which was fantastic. Bear McCreary music. I mean, that should tell you. So there was that. And then with video games, I know, I mean, some people were saying like a video game industry is like going to shit also. There are some bad ones coming out, but I don't know. Since I don't really play that much, it's like, I play one game, I'm in it for the next couple of months, and then I stop for a while, not till I see the next big thing. So I can't really say for sure how the industry itself. From what it seems like, it's basically the same thing as what's happened with the movie industry. Main thing,
what a bunch of rich fucks that just come in, wreck the whole place, combine everything up, and then whore it out to another fucking billionaire that's just going to use it to make as few amount of that particular product as possible while charging twice as much.
Close. I mean, it is, suits who are just not really understanding.
Yeah.
How to make the big title games.
Not understanding, not caring. They just...
And then also, from what it seems like, they're just pouring in so much money on a video game that probably won't do as well as they think it will. And yeah, that seems to be ruining a lot of video game studios. So there's that. But other than that, though, yeah, like I said, I just still focus on other media. And, like I said, I mentioned before.
How are you doing on TV?
TV is fine. It's mainly just anime. I've been binge watching a lot of like just only one season of a show that's not really finished, but like I don't mind. What did I watch? I saw one. Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf, which is about a guy who is able to travel between like our world and a fantasy world, and he accidentally brought back an elf friend of his, and so she's just like, what the heck, seeing this big city, Tokyo, Japan, and like trying all the foods and everything. I don't know, it was a very adorable anime. And so there's that too. So like me distracting myself with other medias, it's like, it's very helpful. I understand like yours and many others on YouTube complaints about what's happening with the movie industry, but I'm just kind of like, it's not, well, besides what we're going to talk about right now, like it's not that big of a deal. And especially because, with other YouTubers, they're just focusing on the bad movies that come out, and they're just like, see, it's all going to shit. And it's like, no, there's some really good ones coming out. I don't know why you don't take the time, like even just 5 minutes, to talk about any good movie that comes out, and just take out all the time saying like, see, this is why the industry is going to shit and blah blah blah. It's like, bad movies still came out even 30 40 years ago. I would say 20 years ago, but we're that's just 2000s. I was talking about like 80s and 90s. Like bad movies were still coming out, especially when they keep bringing up like stuff from the 80s, going like, oh man, see how good we had it and blah blah blah. It's like, you're just basically talking about 2 to 3 movies that came out within the year. I can name you 10 that came out this year. You're not talking about it. And so like and then they're going to argue with the whole, well, we're talking about big blockbusters. It's like, I don't give a shit. Movies are movies. You can't separate them. You can't, you can talk about how Warner Brothers was making some great movies and all that, but at the end of the day, a movie's a movie. A great story is a great story. I don't give a shit how much money you pour it into it. You can have very little and make a good movie. You can have a lot and make a great movie. And so does the opposite. You can have a little bit of money, a lot of money, and make a shit movie. I don't give a damn. Talk about any single type of movie. Talk about the good ones, and maybe studios, if there is a chance, studios actually listen to people like us, to YouTubers, even for us who only have a couple hundred subscribers. Only have 1,000 subscribers. Even though who knows if some of them are real. But if, let's say, they do listen to us, talk about the good ones, and maybe they'll go, hey, let's give this other person another movie. Maybe they'll make something good, and let's give them something of a big franchise. Maybe they'll make something good. So I just, yeah, for a lot of YouTubers, like that's all they want to talk about is just the bad ones that come out and try to spin some story about it. Don't listen to them. I know we also do talk about the bad ones, but I mean, last episode we talked about some great ones. So there's that. And then in terms of like just my quick thoughts about what happened recently, I don't know when. It could be a long time now, but I just do believe at some point we're just gonna get back to a regular. I think things will just go back to normal. I know some people want to say like because of Netflix, the entertainment industry itself is just going to change, but I just don't believe that, because as much as things are changing, the more that it changes, the more you think it gets worse. I'm just realizing more and more, it's like, oh, what we had was the best version. You go to the movies, you make a good amount, you make a low budget movie to hopefully make a shit ton of money with it. The whole, basically how it was with cable. Like, you watch a good show, you watch a movie with commercials in the middle of it, and then that's how studios make their money, by the money the fucking whatever product company, restaurant, whatever the heck business, gives you money to put out an advertisement for their thing. Like, that just seems like the best way to make your money. You can't, when we get into it, well, I mean, we can kind of get into it a little bit now, but like with Netflix trying to buy Warner Brothers, they're not going to make any money. Like, that's just my first thought when this happened. Like, you're not going to make any money. You just wasted this money. You're going to put your stuff on Netflix. Cool. You're going to get some more subscribers and all that. But I've been hearing for like the past 10 years that you've been bankrupt, that you just, that like, no matter how many people are subscribed to you, you're just not making much of a profit. That's not going to make a difference. Cool. You got rid of HBO Max. Great. We still have Disney Plus. We still have Paramount, Peacock, and many others. Amazon Prime. Like, you're still not losing the competition. And even if, like, let's just say everyone just goes and subscribes to Netflix, that happened before when you first started out, and I was still hearing that you were bankrupt. Yeah, everybody had it.
Still has it, but everybody had it. Everybody was the first. It was Netflix all to itself, and yet your point is like, well, yeah, okay, but not really that much, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, you were still going bankrupt, and you still need to think about the fact that, oh wait, we still need to put up shows and movies, and that's just dealing with that. Then you still got the residuals bullshit that you got to deal with. But to make movies and TV shows for your streaming service, you're gonna be wasting a lot more money on that. So eventually, I just think that these streaming services are just gonna go down at some point, and movie theaters will will make a comeback. So again, I don't know when. It could be 5 to 10 years from now. We could see a lot of them shut down in that time, but then a lot of them will be back up. But it's just like, I'm just waiting for the moment to go, for them to just realize, oh, we made a mistake. Let's just go back to normal. Sorry, a motorcycle just went by. So that's kind of why I'm not that, stressed out about it, or just because eventually they'll have to realize that they fucked up. And then I know for some people, they probably won't. For some people, might not think it will happen. But I'm just waiting for that moment. And until then, I still got past TV shows to look at, because of physical media, my video games, my books, and all that. So,
can I just say, I really do admire that perspective, and it really does provide, I think, some comfort to especially a lot of what's about to come with this podcast, particularly. and what we've been going on about for a couple of weeks and months now. But I do want to say thank you for that, because the rational side of me is just like, this is it. This is the end of it. But I can't live my life thinking that the worst is yet to come. I can't like in any event, whether it be the political arena or much less, of course, this field that we cover and we live in so much. I have to, in a similar way as to why people rely on faith, I have to have faith that despite the evil that surrounds us, there is still good, and there's still enough good to come back around. And I know that for many people who may be thinking, oh, this sounds a little bit too existential. You're just talking about movies, guys. No, we're not just talking about movies. We're talking about the people who make those movies, people who work in that industry, who are about to have their entire careers either handicapped, deleted, or even for the ones who want to break into the industry, just completely locked from being able to, cross. This is something that affects all of our lives. And I know that for us in the show specifically, the art form of movies has moved us. It has helped shape who we are. It continues to inform who we are now, who we've been, who we're going to be, not just as individual people, but as a society. And I feel like a lot of my inherent disappointment, disgust, and anger at the world that it is today comes from a genuine lack of curiosity of many of my fellow human beings about the conditions that were made for a lot of the decisions and actions that are happening, and a lot of the pain, quite frankly, that's being inflicted on us today. But despite all of those things, I do think that what we don't do enough on this show is to hold on to a little bit of hope. Now, there are hopeful signs. It's not all doom and gloom. For one, no matter which way this breaks, physical media still exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's still hanging on, which means it's niche. Movies no longer have the stranglehold they once did. But it is rich enough that people will always have a need to go experience a movie in a theater. And I'll just share with you this. I felt so privileged. And I know that, with the movie Wake Up Dead Man, it really is, kind of a struggle with faith, right? The whole film, really, Wake Up Dead Man, is like the internal struggle of like the good and bad of faith and religion inside Ryan Johnson's head between Benoit Blanc and Judd Duplantis. It felt like a cathartic and spiritual experience. Being able to go with one of my closest friends and experience a brand new movie theater that we have never heard of or seen of before. It's called the Angelica Film Center and Cafe in Carmel Mountain. And it was an experience that I don't want to overrate it. I don't want to say it's like the most amazing thing or the most beautiful thing, or it was unlike anything else I'd ever experienced. But it just felt a little bit more special considering the news of the day. That we walked in, and it was gorgeous. A beautiful exterior, an amazing lobby full of such iconic movie posters. Off on the side, you'd see that they have a classic film series. In the hallways, they have these beautiful murals. They even had an upstairs balcony lobby, which apparently had been closed because there was a private event happening, but you had a lot of old movie star frames that we could just peek through the corridor going up there. What was so remarkable about walking into that theater was that it felt like it had been personally hand catered by people who love movies the way that we love them too. And both Alexis and I had been like so just, downtrodden because of just the overbearingness of just this news about our movie theater is going to go away. we can't ever allow ourselves to think for a moment that that's actually going to happen, even if it does happen. Movie theaters are not just going to go away completely. But what there is a real danger of is a good many of the smaller chains and smaller mom and pop theaters might cease to exist altogether. When we were going through this lobby, let me just tell you again, nothing about this is extraordinary, but it felt extraordinary because of just the mood and the joy of being able to just be at a movie theater. This place also, I'm telling you, it was popping. People just kept walking in and walking in, and I was wondering, like, okay, why is this theater so popular here? Oh, I looked at what they were offering. It was a full kitchen. It was a huge menu of things. So it's like, it's not just the fact that people come here for the movie. It's literally dinner and a movie.
Mm-hmm.
The way that people, I think, would, think of that term to be. So, we're waiting in line. We ended up getting our meals, which were quite affordable considering the atmosphere, considering where we were at. It was like, oh, it's only this. That's quite interesting. And then we will make our way to the theater itself, which, again, nothing too special. It wasn't the biggest screen I've ever seen, but it was a perfectly fine screen with a crisp image. Something about it to me felt like it had been recently redone, but they had recliner seats. It was wonderful.
Mm.
To me, what I loved the most about it was the Dolby Atmos audio, which I don't believe is all that common in a lot of the screens that you and I have been. And if we have experienced that, maybe it was just because it was presented in front of us before the movie started that I noticed it more. But this is my second time watching the movie in a theater. And the first time I saw it with you at an Ultrastar theater. And as you know, bit old.
Mm-hmm.
The theater was a bit old.
Yeah.
This one was much newer, and it had the Dolby audio track. And I got to tell you, night and day. A night and day difference. I could hear the fire crackling as the movie opened with, Benoit Blanc reading the letter that Josh O'Connor wrote. Just little things that make the sound and the experience much more rich. And maybe it was the perfect movie to watch because, of course, there's a crisis of faith, a struggle of faith, and everything about watching Wake Up Dead Man on that screen, on that day, just felt like such a revitalizing experience. Like, to me, it was, no. It's like being faced with Thanos, basically an Endgame, and all of his minions, and you're just going to be like, no, we're not backing down. We're not going to accept defeat. This cannot be, because the absolute euphoria that we were feeling watching such a wonderful movie, but also kind of a topical movie about both of us, what we were kind of going through, it was kind of amazing and insane at the same time. We loved, obviously, the film. We loved our time there. And, I think back to this one moment of a show that, quite frankly, isn't all that remarkable, but there was one scene that stood with me even through all these years. The Walking Dead. There was a character called Morgan. And when they were reintroducing that character in I want to say season 5 or 6. Maybe at the end of season 4, but who knows at this point. But he is stumbling across somebody who we all know is going to try and kill him, but he doesn't. He fails to kill him. But they have a really interesting conversation with this guy after the zombie apocalypse. Like, you know what? I do miss the movies. And Morgan was like, whether it be the movies or anything else, everything gets a return. And in the 10 years since I believe that episode aired, I found that to be the case. I think in some aspect, everything, trends go in and out of style. They come back into style. everything gets a return. So thank you for sharing that with me. I think this is something that I for sure needed to hear. I think people just need to be hearing too, because it is quite a dour mood that we're in with what's happening. It's really difficult to see the light coming through the tunnel, and it's up against so much, quite honestly. So obviously everybody is aware of at this point that over the last couple of days, Netflix and Warner Brothers initially agreed to a merger slash acquisition slash bastardization of what they currently have. They announced, by the way, one that is quite illegal, but will most assuredly be allowed anyway, in favor of another court, was it the Allisons and Magamount, or Paramount, I should say, that were also trying to acquire WB, but and also a deal that, if that were to go through, would also be quite illegal, due to antitrust laws. But conveniently, both parties don't care about that when it comes to the time to make any matter of difference about it. But no, they don't really do that at all. So in the last couple of days, Larry Ellison, is it Larry Ellison or David Ellison? I think maybe David Ellison. David Ellison launched a hostile takeover of WB. So it wasn't good enough, and it was basically took the decision out of David Zaslav's hands and into the stockholders of Warner Brothers. Now it's pretty much 50-50 whether or not WB is going to get to go to Voldemort or to Darth Sidious. And it's funny and sad, but that literally is the decision that it's come down to. Like, it is such like a lesser of two evils. Like, a lot of people felt like, the election of 2016 between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton was like a choice between the lesser of two evils. True, but there was quite a huge difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump as far as like evil is concerned. I don't know how much difference there really is between Magamount or Netflix, but both I think will inflict again unfathomable amounts of damage to this industry that we love so much. But a lot of people get confused about like what led to why we are here. Why is this something that's allowed to happen? And how did movies get to such a state where it is just getting dwarfed by all these tech bros? Well, I mean, first of all, it certainly was a huge mistake to allow Silicon Valley and Wall Street to infiltrate this business, because all of the acolytes from those institutions have really kind of guided a lot of the decision making to where we are today. Which, by the way, would not be considered woke. I know a lot of people want to throw out woke as the reason why movies are bad. And when they say woke, they mean leftist progressive politics being inserted in films. All the while, of course, the conservative politics that may happen to be in movies, they have no issue with, of course. All the while, of course, that conservative-leaning voters and conservative-leaning people are overwhelmingly on the side of like high equity and Wall Street and Silicon Valley. So just to straighten out those political wrinkles there. But due to the policies of President Ronald Reagan and the people that he put in place, and his Department of Justice really not enforcing a lot of the antitrust laws that were happening, we arrived at a place where, after Ronald Reagan had left the White House in the late 1980s, because of all the relaxing of the policies that had come before, there were plenty of movie studios that for the first time ended up being acquired by multi-conglomerate corporations. In 1989, Sony bought Columbia Pictures. In 1990, Time merged with Warner Communications. By the time that I was a young kid that was able to, see TV networks and channels in the early to mid 2000s, I was familiar with the name Time Warner. That was still a new thing, but before Time Warner, it was just Time, then Warner. In 1994, Viacom bought Paramount. And in 1995, Disney bought ABC Television Network. And that was, of course, just the very beginning of that. This all happened in the very early 1990s, which were a direct result of the previous administration, Ronald Reagan, and the loosening of those policies. And that created kind of this never-ending, lasting gobstopper of just mergers and mergers and mergers. And to make it very clear for people about, really what's at stake here, because, that was just the 1990s. This is ultimately what Warner Brothers Discovery has, and whoever buys Warner Brothers Discovery is going to have in possession of. So, and then a More Perfect Union on Twitter kind of put this kind of perfectly. If Paramount, Magamount, is allowed to take over Warner Brothers Discovery, the conservative billionaire Ellison family will control Paramount Studios, CBS, CNN, MTV, HBO, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, of course the Warner Brothers Movie Studio, DC Studios, Fandango, New Line Cinema, TNT Sports, TBS, Oracle, and many, many more. And it should be said that even for people who are usually very favorable to mergers and very favorable to conservative-leaning policies, are taken aback by just the sheer size of this potential merger that conversations immediately have been struck about whether or not this is even legal, which of course it shouldn't be and shouldn't seem to be. Let me share with you some. There was one particular reaction that I think really I think captured it the best. When the news broke. By the way, but this one was actually pretty funny. It had nothing to do with it, I don't think so, but this was just a funny tweet. Jared Gilman said, "Movie theater lovers after last night's news," and it retweeted Guillermo del Toro saying, "I'm a big fan of death. I'm certainly looking forward to it." That was definitely the mood that a lot of people had when that news was definitely announced, and pretty, I think for a quite obvious reason. Graham Plattner, who is the senatorial candidate right now for the state of Maine, put it quite succinctly after Netflix and WB tweeted this out. He said, "These assholes want to kill movies so they can get richer and richer. This merger needs to be stopped." Yeah. Andrews, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just they want to get richer, but just getting rid of everything that made them rich in the first place. Like,
yeah,
it makes no sense.
Yep.
And you brought it up earlier, like people saying like wokeness was killing the movies. At this point, I think this is just kind of like definitive proof that it was never wokeness from the beginning. It was just producers, studio heads, whatever you want to call them, being fucking dumbasses for not really understanding how to, run a movie studio. Like, for one thing, that like the idea of a studio director, whoever in charge, like wants to make a diverse cast, wants to tell story from other stories from different ethnicities, cultures, and whatever. Like that idea alone is not bad. It doesn't matter whether you want to call it woke or not. Like that's just sort of that just sounds great. Like I want to learn about other people's cultures and everything, what the other people dealt with. And you'd be surprised that like, what some other person from a different culture dealt with would probably be the same as you. And like that was kind of the point of us wanting to be more diverse within the movie industry. And so, yeah, like I said, like that idea alone was never bad. The studios just went about it in a bad way. Like they just sort of focused on that, but never really cared about how to promote it, how to write it properly, should write it, really. And yeah, it all fell apart very quickly, honestly. And yeah, it was never wokeness from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why these studios were
It was never wokeness, but this actually ties back into what I was saying earlier about the actual real policies by the Reagan administration, because ultimately we have to remind ourselves that the Democratic Party is largely responsible for the conservative actors, conservative agents, if you will, penetrating the consciousness and succeeding at convincing so many people that this is what the problem is, because conservatives just say whatever they want and we're forced to have a conversation about it. They repeat it endlessly, and so that makes it to the news. And Democrats or Democratic-leaning agents just have largely abdicated. And I said earlier before that, Ronald Reagan created the conditions. I should say he wasn't alone. All the presidents that came after him helped because they did nothing about it. Who were the presidents? George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and again, Donald Trump. None of these people bothered to really correct any of those grave mistakes. Notice that both of those, that all those presidents were either Democratic or Republican. With Republican presidents, I don't expect them to really care about this crap, but Democratic presidents, sure. Bill Clinton was president for 8 years. Obama, 8 years. Was Joe Biden 4 years? What's that? 20 years of Democrats being the president, and they did nothing. They did nothing about this. Aren't they supposed to be the liberal elite? Aren't they supposed to be in cahoots and in bed with the people who control Hollywood? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because this is what Hollywood wanted. Right. This is because at that point, Hollywood had been taken over by the multi-conglomerate corporations, not so much the movie studios. Yeah, so it's like both parties are kind of captured again by owner donors that tell them what to do. That's how this rigged game works, in case you forget. But woke is a thing because of the weakness and the fecklessness of the democratic infrastructure, and even in some ways just unwillingness at responding to these talking points. So you only have an echo chamber that reaches everybody, and then here we are. And so that's why people have these notions. And a part of it that there's also an element of it where some people are under the impression that movies just aren't as good as they used to be, not because of woke, but just because they are. And they say that so confidently without them realizing that how their own culpability in a little bit of truth in what they're saying. It's not that movies aren't as good as they used to be. They're not as bountiful as they used to be. And audiences themselves are not as open as they used to be about the different kinds of movies that they would actually go and pay a movie ticket to go out instead of, just watching whatever crap they want at home. And you have to really be honest with ourselves about what has been happening these last 10 to 15 years. A lot of the really good, like soul nourishing, intellectually stimulating art form movies, people never watch.
Mm-hmm.
What do they actually watch? The big blockbusters in movies and the random crap comfort food that's on your generic streaming service. If all your diet consists of is Transformers, Five Nights at Freddy's, the Disney live action remakes, the Disney reboot requel sequels, and Love Island, or The Floor is Lava, or Bridgerton, or what's that other thing on Netflix that people like? The Kissing Booth?
Hmm.
And I'm not saying all those things are bad, but there are of a certain flavor. If all you stick to is with one flavor, and you say, gee, I wonder why movies are bad.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Like, you just sticking to one specific thing, and yeah, of course you're gonna say it's bad. I actually had a conversation with Ale yesterday. I was like, I think this year was kind of like a miss for movies, and like I'm listing everything. She goes, "What are you talking about? I saw a lot of great movies." It's like, yeah, you saw you saw the great ones, but like I saw a whole lot more than you, and like, yeah, of course I'm gonna say it's bad because I'm seeing a lot more bad than good.
You know what, David?
So,
let it all out, my friend. Let it all out. What are the bad ones?
oh, okay.
What are the bad ones? I gotta hear. I gotta see it because. But you know what? I want to say that for us, David, to defend Alexis and me, I'll just put myself out there. I no longer watch everything. I used to watch everything, but I feel like I for sure have steered clear of projects that I know just by knowing how it was made in the first place and who made them. They're just not going to be for me. So I never saw Minecraft. I'm not going to go see Five Nights at Freddy's because fuck that. I know I'm not going to enjoy it.
I never saw the first one on that one. But the ones that I'll say are like really bad, Captain America, Minecraft, The Legend of Ochi. That one was such a disappointment. Honestly, I was really excited about it. How to Train Your Dragon. Let's see, Fantastic Four.
I would put that in there.
Let's see, Tron Ares, Big Bold Beautiful Journey. And then Playdate. That one was an Amazon Prime movie. So disappointed because it was Kevin James and what's his name? I don't know. Alan Richson. He's the one that plays Reacher in that Amazon show. I really like Alan Richson. He's really, really funny, and I mean that dude's just fucking humongous. He's great in action movies and all that, but it was just a horrible story. And then the ones that I just found to be okay. I'll put it as okay. Snow White. That was really bad. And then the ones that I found to be okay: Death of a Unicorn, Thunderbolts, Ballerina. Let's see, The Pickup, Heads of State. Those two are Amazon original. I would guess I put The Conjuring, Last Rites as okay, and then Running Man and Carpenter's Son. So the one that I just listed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
A lot of those
6, 7.
I haven't even seen myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't seen them because I just like, oh yeah, I heard it wasn't worth it, so I just steered clear of it.
It's like 13 movies out of, how many did I watch? 35. 13. That's like almost. Okay. That's almost half the movies that I found to be bad.
So you've logged 35 movies. I've logged 31. So you've seen more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm better than you because I think most of what I've seen has been pretty good. So I'll tell you on what I have here. I'll tell you what I have on my list of the 31 movies that I've seen this year that are quite bad. 2 of which are on your list: Fantastic Four and Captain America. And one more that is not on yours, and I'm sure. Well, I mean, at this point, you've seen all the bad ones. You should see this one, Jurassic World Rebirth. It's awful, awful movie. But I will tell you, that means that of the 31 movies that I have seen, 28 of them I liked, really enjoyed, to just adamantly loved. I'll give you movies that I liked this year. So for me, it's been a good year. But then again, I've seen less than you have. Novocaine, Companion.
Yep.
Oh Hi was with that was the movie with Molly Gordon and Logan Lerman. Good Boy, that was the what's the
one with the dog?
Shutter, the Shutter dog movie. Yeah.
Okay.
That was good.
Nice.
F1 was really good. Thunderbolts, Predator Badlands, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. One of Them Days, that was the one with, I believe, SZA and Kiki Palmer. The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. The Roses with Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman.
I missed that one. I really want to watch it.
I believe it's really funny. Eternity with Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner. Also, Da'Vine Joy Randolph was in that as well. Weapons. Twinless with Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney. The Phoenician Scheme with Benicio del Toro, written and directed by Wes Anderson. Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson and Bong Joon-ho. The Life of Chuck, which was Mike Flanagan. Hamnet, Chloe Zhao, Paul Mescal, Jesse Buckley. Freakier Friday, Hilarious with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. K-pop Demon Hunters, which is like an incredible soundtrack, wonderful animation. Materialists with Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal, directed by Celine Song. Rental Family with Brendan Fraser. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, are you kidding me? Wake Up Dead Man. Sinners by Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan. One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson. Superman, Elio, and a whole bunch. I mean, that's just what I have so far as like really, really good movies. So, but I have to be clear. You, I think, are keeping much more of an open mind about different kinds of movies.
Yeah.
I have determined that a lot of the films that you watch, my friend, Snow White, not good. Tron, not good. I mean, for me, it's like I'm not really going out of my way to go see movies that I know for a fact are just not going to be worth anybody's time. And I was quite curious to see some of them, like The Conjuring 4, but ultimately it's like, well, it's not great. I got things to do, and also I have seen a lot of movies in theaters that are old films this year too, so that also, counts, like Toy Story and Back to the Future and Jaws, Sound of Music, just to name a few that I have recently. So yeah, that's where I think that the dividing line, and I think that's where Alexis comes from, is that a lot of basically all the things that she's seen are good, and also there's a whole bunch of other movies that I haven't seen yet. Maybe you have some of these, but like there's also Final Destination, 28 Years Later, The Last Mission Impossible, Warfare, Black Bag, let's see, Karate Kid Legends I didn't see, Mad About a Boy by Bridget Jones, Megan 2.0, Roofman I really wanted to see with Channing Tatum. I need to catch that one, and Kirsten Dunst. Begonia with Emma Stone, Eddington, the latest from Ari Aster. Sentimental Value, which features Stellan Skarsgård. Maybe I'll check out Zootopia 2, and at some point Wicked for Good. It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme. The History of Sam with Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor. Jake Callie, Secret Agent, Blue Moon. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You with Rose Byrne. No Other Choice. There's a lot of other and more than that that came out this year that are, the quality can range by some of these other ones.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, but How to Train Your Dragon? No genuine interest in it whatsoever. Just like, fuck you and fuck that movie. I don't mean you. I just mean the people who made that movie. The same goes for Lilo and Stitch. They can go fuck themselves. And they did with all the money that they made. So it's like, no, I'm not interested in giving certain films that amount of, I guess, validity, if you want to put it in those terms. But I'm like, no, that's not happening. So that's where it is for me. If you want to make a note right now, for you somewhere, David, the timestamp of where we're at, I want to play some clips here that kind of really put it succinctly. This first clip is Matt Damon. This was from 4-ish years ago. He was on Hot Ones, and he was asked specifically about why it is that people feel as if they don't make movies the way that they used to anymore. And, we've gone over that. And yes, there's more that we're going to get to, but I feel like people need this context to be able to really kind of see the viewpoint that we have. So, here is the clip.
Scenario lots of viewers can relate to is sitting on the couch on a Friday night, going through the streaming services, cycling through the movies and thinking to themselves, they're not making movies for me anymore. As somebody who's been intimately involved in movie making for 30 years, what are the macro Hollywood conditions behind that sentiment?
Well, so what happened was the DVD was a huge part of our business, of our revenue stream, and technology has just made that obsolete. And so the movies that we used to make, you could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release. And 6 months later, you'd get a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost. And when that went away, that changed the type of movies that we could make. I did this movie Behind the Candelabra, and I talked to a studio executive who explained it was a $25 million movie. I would have to put that much into print and advertising, right, to market it, what we call P&A. So I'd have to put that in P&A. So now I'm in $50 million. I have to split everything I get with the exhibitor, right, the people who own the movie theaters. So I would have to make $100 million before I got into profit. And the idea of making $100 million on a story about like this love affair between these two people, yeah, I love everyone in the movie, but that's suddenly a massive gamble in a way that it wasn't in the 1990s when they were making all those kind of movies, the kind of movies that I loved and the kind of movies that were my bread and butter.
That's just one corner of it. Mm-hmm. And then here comes James Gray, director James Gray, with another telling of it.
I think the theaters that come out in theaters first, so that should tell you something. But I think the movie business made a critical mistake, and really it was not a recent mistake, but a big mistake, to think of it as, this film did not make a ton of money, thus we don't make that film. This film will make a ton of money, thus we make that one. A very strict balance sheet equation. Why is that a mistake? You'd think, that's a no-brainer. That's any first-level MBA guy or woman or whatever should know that. Here's what happened, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. When you make movies that only make a ton of money, and they're only one kind of movie, you begin to get a large segment of the population out of the habit of going to the movies. And then you begin to eliminate the importance of movies culturally. Yes. You lose, when you are so quarterly earnings, bottom line minded, you lose I think, the big brain vision to say, look, I have no problem with a comic book movie. I have seen excellent ones made. I think Tim Burton's second Batman is a beautiful movie and Michelle Pfeiffer's brilliant in it. I think what Chris Nolan does, my friend Matt Reeves certainly did the deep dive with his Batman film. So I know that there are things that can be done in the genre. That's not an argument saying all comic book movies are terrible and they shouldn't be made. No, of course they should be made. The slate, though, the fact that it is no longer broad-based for theatrical by the studios means that they have forced a smaller and smaller and smaller segment of the population to like it. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. And you know instantly what movie that is. Right. You cannot quote me a single line from Aquaman. You can't. So what does that mean? It means the cultural and the Academy Awards, they know it.
Yeah.
They sit around and they say, why is the viewership? Why is it going down?
Yeah.
It's going down because we did not make the investment in the broad-based engagement with the product. I know maybe a movie that was made, well, Ang Lee movie Ice Storm, maybe that didn't make $1 billion, but you know what? It maintained broad-based interest.
Exactly.
So we've got to force it back. And you know what? The studios should be willing to lose money for a couple of years on art film divisions. And in the end, they will be happier because it'll come back. That's what I think.
And I would also just add, if they were happy to go 5+ years losing money on streaming, then why wouldn't you just lose money on something else if it means getting it back to how it was, David?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that video kind of brought up something I just remembered. Part of the reason why I think it's gonna go back to normal, in some way, is because this is not to this degree, but this is sort of this is something that happens a lot within the studios. I remember, long years ago. Sorry, notification. I remember years ago, a lot of people were having conversations of are we just gonna get superhero movies from now on or something like that? And it's no, it's gonna die down. We really think that the video game adaptations are gonna be picking up pretty soon. I mean, it's already happening with Minecraft, Legend of Zelda. Some, behind the scenes pictures are coming out and everything. But then also, this is something that just happens over and over again with the spaghetti westerns and the gangster movies that came out in studios. This is something that always happens, and then at some point it gets oversaturated. The studios, someone within this business just makes the wrong decision and kind of just kills it. And I remember seeing this with the Bee Gees documentary that came out a couple of years ago, when
Yes.
the Bee Gees basically created disco, and it was just the biggest thing ever. And then all of a sudden, it just became oversaturated. And then in the documentary, there's, what was it? This duck, whatever, that was supposed to be this disco mascot or something like that. And that was just the straw that broke the camel's back right there. People just went, okay, disco is dead, And this is just what's happening here. We had a great run with the Marvel movies, and I mean, it could have kept going, but they just kind of went, go, put out more and all that. It's whoa, you should have slowed down after Endgame, but you didn't. Now it's oversaturated and we're over it. Now we want something new. And then that's why I think it's, that's what's just going to happen with the business. At some point, we're just going to get back to normal because that's just kind of what happens in some way.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and add another clip here of James Gray from earlier this year.
I think we're in serious trouble today, don't you? Take a look at the world. I mean, what happened? How'd we get here? How'd we get here to where there's two people who own everything, right? There's a bunch of authoritarians that are trying to take over the planet. How'd we get here? It didn't happen by accident. I'm not advertising for Soviet-style communism because I went to the Soviet Union in 1984. It was completely broken. But you at least had some other system. Today, it's the market. The market is God. You tell someone who's under 20, you're a sellout, they think it means you have no more tickets left. They don't know what it means. So where does that leave us? The whole point is to inspire creativity, to inspire a world which is creating artists at a rapid rate. And instead, what we teach is, that's a good franchise. Get into that franchise. We used to think of franchises as McDonald's and Burger King. Now we talk about it with cinema. What happened? Something happened. Why aren't we talking about that more? Where is the critique of capitalism itself, which has led to a system of horrendous inequality? So when you ask me about where we are today, we're in deep trouble. And it's up to artists to show what's wrong, because it's not coming from anywhere else, I can tell you that. So that's my own view.
I can applaud. I can applaud for that.
That's an easy applause line.
the lady here.
I really think we're gonna be seeing a lot more of this sentiment as this goes through here. But let me go ahead and share a comment by Alexis on this issue. She said, Alexis and I spoke about this, so I trust he will do justice in what I think, mainly because it's the same as him, but this is a joke. I hate that we keep getting put in positions where both choices are bad, but one is slightly less bad, aka presidential elections is just bad all around. So that's Alexis right there. There was another comment on that. Look, on the day that this was announced with Netflix, co-CEO Ted Sarandos said this. I hate corporate language, but here we go. Our mission has always been to entertain the world by combining Warner Brothers' incredible library of shows and movies, from timeless classics like Casablanca and Citizen Kane to modern favorites like Harry Potter and Friends. With our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game, we'll be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling. Here's someone that retweeted, I fucking hate when these CEOs that have no personality or emotional attachment to any human art speak on stuff like this. The most corporate bullshit sentences that guise the fact that their share price went up 1/4 of a point, and it's the only semblance of happiness they get now. Basically, and let me go ahead and go over to, look, very few people are able to kind of put this as succinctly as Miss Randolph is, and so I'm going to go over to her. These are a series of clips that basically kind of surmise where we're at. Here is the first one.
I want to say off the bat that I don't think this is going to happen. I think that everyone will do everything in their power to stop it. Not only from the government, but I also believe from within the industry. And it's because Ted Sarandos, the head of Netflix, won't keep his mouth shut. I want to start with a statement that he made. And he said, Variety just posted this. And they said, when asked if Netflix is destroying Hollywood, co-CEO Ted Sarandos said, no, we are saving Hollywood. We're in a period of transition. Folks grew up thinking, I want to make movies on a gigantic screen and have strangers watch them, and to have them play in the theater for 2 months and people cry in sold out shows, and saying that's an outdated concept. Don't forget who's the head of the DGA, Mr. Christopher Nolan. He will take them to court. The WGA has also already threatened to sue. And I think that is going to be, I think this will never happen. A lot to discuss. I think that's a shocking statement to make. I saw somebody say online that Ted Sarandos couldn't keep up the charade for 24 hours. It's shocking that he would admit these things before the deal was done. It's really, really crazy. Like, I just want to point out to you that like a movie like Clayface would never go to theaters. It would never happen. Ted Sarandos would think it would be silly to release that film in theaters. And that's kind of what you're dealing with. I just want to say on a side note, it's a little bit like when everyone said, why do we have to buy American? Why don't we buy the cheapest thing we can get, and who cares where it's made or how it's made? And look where that got us. So I just want you to think about that. I want you to think about the slop that's going to be just shoveled down your throats if this is allowed to. I'm a little annoyed about it. Okay.
And another one over here.
Everybody was like, no, not Netflix. And now everybody's like, no, not Paramount. They're both such horrible options. You're like, well, I don't know. It's like, which way would you like to die? You know, and you're like, neither. I think neither is good. The shareholders have to decide if they want to kill the movie theater business or if they want to hand over 2 major studios to the conservative movement. Do they want to create a Fox Entertainment that would be both Warner Brothers and Paramount? That's the question at hand here. And you're like, third option? They're like, nope, these are your options. I gotta tell you, both of these deals seem illegal to me, and I would probably, if I were a government official, I'd be like, doesn't matter. because I'm not going to approve either one of them. But the fact that the Trumps are directly, I mean, that to me seems illegal. I don't even know what to say because I'm watching someone break the law and nothing's happening. Okay, let's go to the Golden Globes.
Wait. I'm watching someone break the law and nothing's happening. I feel like that's literally every day of this year. I mean, if anything else could basically summarize like what this whole year has felt like. I'm watching someone break the law and nothing's happening. And this is supposed to be the Law and Order era, right? Basically, all of this is happening because David Allison at Skydance, which now acquired Paramount earlier this year. They did all of this with the sole purpose of capturing Warner Brothers because they knew it was going to be up for sale pretty soon. David Allison is not interested in movies so much as he's interested in using them to promote conservative agendas and conservative ideology and policies. Oh, it's woke, but in reverse. Now it's just woke for the right side. And then again, what he's really interested in is he already owns CBS News. He wants CNN to make the news even more conservative and even more right-wing than it already is. And also, don't underestimate Donald Trump's personal involvement in this. He is a personal friend of the Allisons, and evidently, he is in the know about what is happening at Paramount/MAGA Mount, because Rush Hour 4 apparently is happening now, and it had been passed on because of Ratner, toxic individual. The studio executives at Paramount were shocked to learn that they were making that movie because they previously said no. And they learned that they were doing it because the president said it on live TV. And David Allison, who is their boss, didn't even bother to tell them. So, and already it's been reported that David Ellison has already had wonderful conversations, quote unquote, with the president about how the many wonderful changes they can make to CNN once they own it. So you have to understand, this is why the Allisons wanted Paramount. This is why they want WB. They don't care about the movie making business per se. They want to use that power and that influence to capture culture, to capture minds, to basically have a dominant boot on all of our necks. That's why they want this. Nothing really to do with movies themselves. So, this is just my opinion, David, but that just seems rather evil and very sinister. And you can tell how much it means to them because they're not backing down. They were already said, no, thank you. And so what did he do? He initiated a hostile takeover, taking the decision out of the hands of David Zaslav and putting it directly into the stockholders. And now, the way this is going, this ain't going to be pretty at all. But then on the other hand, you have Netflix, who literally, not even a whole 24 hours after they, I guess, finalized an initial deal and announced it to the world, Ted Sarandos was like, you know, I never really saw the appeal of like watching movies in a darkened room with strangers. And eventually, we're going to have that go away. It wasn't even a full 24 hours after that happened. And that all, so, and the sickest joke about all of this is that Warner Brothers had a legendary year.
Yeah.
Their films were freaking one of the most historic years ever from a financial standpoint, where a wide range of movies and people responded to them, and it made money at the box office. And yet this is how it ends. This is a really cruel and sick joke. And then also to add to what you were saying earlier about, Netflix does make money, but they don't make as real cash value money as they would if they actually just became an actual movie studio. Because let me just tell you this. Wake Up Dead Man, Frankenstein, K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, look, I feel Netflix has enough room to experiment. After K-pop Demon Hunters blew up in its first month, they should have capitalized and put it in theaters for weeks and weeks on end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
didn't do that. There's plenty of ways they can explore. Okay, maybe have Wake Up Dead Man drop on Netflix for a week, take it out, put it in theaters, and then put it back on the platform. Like, I don't see why you can't mess around with the formula, because you don't seem interested in doing that. All you seem is interested in doing the same thing. And I think to me, it's annoying because your refusal to just change the way that you are is really inhibiting a lot of artists like Rian Johnson, who are just begging and begging you. And what did they do? They give Wake Up Dead Man 2 weeks. They give Frankenstein 2 weeks. And yes, Frankenstein was a huge hit on the streamer, sure. But it doesn't change the fact that with certain titles, you should have them out in theaters, because you would just make a killing. You make a huge killing at that. And you're just lighting money on fire. And I've never understood this about Netflix, because they're a corporation. You would think that all they care about is making money, and yet at every turn, if it means giving any little bit of validity over to the theaters, they will not acknowledge it. It's the same way Kevin Feige treated Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I kid you not. If it means acknowledging their existence, I'm not going to have any involvement in it. David.
No, yeah, I agree. You had an easy money grab all this time, and you're not utilizing it because you rather stay a streaming service. You'd rather stay to make sure people watch it at home, when you could have, put these out in theaters, have people watch it, go, oh, dang, this is great. I'm going to stay on Netflix, so I can see what else good stuff comes out. And, it doesn't have to be every single movie has to be in the theater. Like, it's okay to keep a couple into your streaming service so that people can stay on it. But I mean, I don't know. They can even utilize that too. It's like, let's just say they have one director, they make a movie, put it out in theaters, makes them a whole bunch of money. Great. We'll give you a little bit of money so you can make like whatever you want, but it's just going to stay on streaming service, But like, it'll still be good and all that, but you don't have to waste that much money and people will stay on it. And then, or maybe just work the opposite, give them a lot of money only on streaming, give them a little bit of money, put it on theaters, and you can make like a bank, like there's some way you can work around your own company. And then there comes the fucking physical media stuff. I don't understand. Honestly, like, what would you think of this? Like, let's say you want to order a movie on DVD, whether it's Steelbook or regular, Blu-ray, sleeved, whatever. You wouldn't mind waiting like a week or two for it to come, right? Like you don't have to make like a bulk of these DVDs and hopefully people buy all of them. It's like, no, have it set up, have someone buy it, and then you can just go, all right, hey, you'll get it in 2 weeks. You make it, sent it, and done. Like, that's all you can do. I think that's just
it's really easy, because like Netflix randomly will release DVDs of some of their shows, but with their movies, it just needs to be a whole different story. Yet at the same time, they will occasionally allow the Criterion Collection to, get some of their films. But personally, if you're going to be a craven capitalistic creature, if that is a niche market, why are you like outsourcing to Criterion? A24 has basically just distributed their films themselves. They have now there's the Criterion Collection, now there's the A24 Collection. Why can't you just make the Netflix Collection?
Mm-hmm.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah.
And we would have a whole bunch of their own signature films on their line, and people would go nuts over them.
Mm-hmm. You can start right now. Hey, some of the best movies that have been viewed since we first started. Here's a DVD collection of it. And, maybe some of them will probably be like, oh, shoot, yeah, that did come out, on Netflix. I would love to have a fucking physical media of it. Like, you can do that right now, and you'll make a whole bunch more money. You can, I even bet you can make a quarter of what you just fucking spent on Warner Brothers. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's already been proven that movies that end up going to the theaters first, people just have much more of an awareness of them actually existing, that when they actually go to digital or streaming, they do a lot better, because streaming movies don't get any promotion or marketing or push whatsoever. They come and they go.
Mm-hmm.
As if they might as well never even existed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is like, that can help you. And they know this, but they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They genuinely do not care.
And I know the first thing that's going to just come back in all this is advertisements within the streaming service. Like,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I don't mind it, because that's always how studios made money. Like I said, some company goes, hey, we'll pay you this amount of money to put an ad on your movie or show or doing your commercials. And then, they play it, and then that's it. I do feel that's gonna make a comeback. At some point, you're gonna get either it's gonna be like the cheapest options, you'll get ads with all the Netflix stuff, and just, you put an ad in the beginning, put an ad in the middle, and you put an ad in the end. That is all. Like, hey, you'll be making a lot more money.
If you grant me a second, I'm just scrolling through some of the reactions, and then just to see if anything interesting kind of shakes out about, what the last couple of days have looked like. But no, I feel like that's kind of where we are with all of this. It is, quite scary to see who eventually will acquire it, but I'm like, if Netflix takes WB, it just makes me feel like a lot less movies will be made. A lot less of them that are made are going to be put in theaters. No more physical discs at all. So that's really daunting. And then on the other hand, if Paramount ends up getting WB, none of those things seem to be all that in doubt. But what will assuredly happen is much more conservative propaganda to poison this country. Yeah. Anywho, as Grace Randolph says, now to the Golden Globes. Just like there's no easy way to transition out of this. I will say, just to note, because last time we were here, I believe we did read off the movies that were nominated for Best Film at the National Board of Review, and we've had a couple of more outlets that have turned out some lists. This is the American Film Institute, or otherwise known as AFI. Their top 10 films were Avatar, Fire and Ash, Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Jay Kelly, that's the movie with George Clooney and Adam Sandler, streaming on Netflix just now. Also should have had a theatrical release, but okay. Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Train Dreams, the Joel Edgerton, also streaming on Netflix, and Wicked for Good. We'll say the Wicked nominations are pretty embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully they might be dying off a little bit. I feel like, look, we all knew that the reception to the movie was not going to be very well to begin with, just because of the source material and the director. So that's a double, whammy right there. I don't know if you've noticed, David, but while still making money, it looks like Wicked for Good is going to end up making a considerable less amount of money than the first movie did, which makes sense when you think about the quality and then the tone of the movies themselves.
Yeah.
But usually the sequels do make more. And if it doesn't, bit of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see critics cooled off significantly to it, to the point where it suffered a huge snub at the Golden Globes. I think, to me, that's one of the biggest stories. So before I read the nominees, remember, of course, that the Globes are probably the only people that delineate. They separate categories. Now, of course, historically speaking, how accurate the movies that are placed in what category are pretty wildly inaccurate. To me, it's like, it really is, let's just be real, it's an excuse to nominate as many movies as possible, and they hide behind the banner of a genre, but really, it's just 12 slots for Best Picture. And they do that to kind of like, and I would say originally just to like make themselves look good for like the award season, you know? They have restructured themselves in recent years, and while there still are some classic Globe moments in here, I'm a little saddened that they're kind of becoming more just another, I mean, they're becoming an international critics group, and I mean, I don't want to be xenophobic here, and I love the fact that there's international films that are getting more love, but it's really coming at the expense of some, you know, homegrown movies that I think are getting a lot of, you know, are not getting as much attention. And I also do want to point out that there's a lot of like, there's a lot of unfairness all throughout award seasons, throughout all of the years, about the different standards that apply to different movies and different franchises. It is really just, it says a lot that Wicked's new entry has a better chance at being nominated than the Avatar or the Knives Out series, just because Wicked happened to be on its first sequel, whereas Avatar and Knives Out are on their second sequel. And apparently, you can only go so many sequels in before they just lose interest in you and you don't matter, no matter how good you are. Mind you, Avatar Fire and Ash and Wake Up Dead Man, the third installments in these two franchises, have gotten excellent reviews. And yet, while they've gotten a few mentions here or there, Wicked has gotten a lot more mentions just because it's a part 2 versus a part 3, all the while being a far inferior film in every aspect imaginable. It basically is like Wakanda Forever, because if you recall, Wakanda Forever did pop up a few times in nominations, most notably so for Angela Bassett. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it still won for costumes that year. So, yeah, just so people are aware of. And I think that for me, that's one of my frustrations. Is that if this was the old Globes, and this is just a personal thing, I think we would have seen a lot more Wake Up Dead Man. But to me, that's one of my takeaways, is that it was not included here at all. Not one nomination. Not for screenplay for Rian Johnson. Nothing for Josh O'Connor, Daniel Craig, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin. Really great performances, I want to say. And it's just like, well, I guess it didn't matter. They nominated 12 actors for lead actor between the comedy, musical, and drama. And not one of those 12 was Josh O'Connor. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? But you nominated Dwayne Johnson.
I have yet to see it.
I don't care. Fuck him. He shouldn't be included in this. You can go to hell. You can go and change the hierarchy of his DC universe that got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to me, it's just kind of a joke. Like, really? Wake Up Dead Man, which I think has a wonderful comedy blend of comedy and drama, but whatever, I guess. Not anywhere near here. And I also want to address the bullshit of this like box office like achievement. They nominated Avatar, which has not even opened yet, so it's made $0, and yet it's already got nominated for box office achievement. That's a bad look.
Mm-hmm.
But they also nominated K-pop Demon Hunters. Box office achievement? Did you not? Right?
Yeah.
I think you've... Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm pretty sure Elio made more money. And that was a bomb.
Yeah.
And K-pop... Are you...
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here are some nominees. Here's Best Picture for Drama. Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was an Accident, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Secret Agent. I have not seen 3 of these. I'm sure they're great. 3 of these I have seen, and they are great. No issue here. Best Motion Picture for Musical or Comedy. Not all of these are musical or comedies, but they're not dramas, so I guess they go here. This was a surprise, because there's like at least 3 here that I have no idea what they are, like Nouvelle Vague, No Other Choice, and Blue Moon. So good for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have Begonia, Marty Supreme, and One Battle After Another. Let me just tell you right now, it's pretty clear that this race is over. One Battle After Another is winning picture and director, and that's it.
Yeah.
Don't even consider anybody else. This is done. So, in case anybody cares or wonders, so yeah, One Battle will win for comedy or musical, and I guess for drama, that's a curious one. I'm not sure which one would win there, but I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, here's another category: Best Animated Feature. The nominees are Arco, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle. I should say Demon Slayer Infinity Castle.
Yeah.
Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, A Little Amelie, and Zootopia 2. So good news. While it for sure is not going to win, Elio at least is not getting snubbed so far. So I'm happy to see that. You know, I was afraid because it was just it got so burned by everybody. So the fact that it was included here now, maybe it's just like, oh, it's Pixar and by default, whatever. But it's nice that this movie is somewhere, because it just hasn't found an audience really, and that's so sad. That it got so carpetbagged. Zootopia 2, whatever. K-pop, absolutely, I understand it. It probably will win, unless I don't know. I'm pretty sure one or two things will happen. K-pop will just sweep everything, or that kind of movie maybe will not connect with some of these voters, so they could probably go for a movie, an artsy animated movie like Little Amelie. So that could be a potential. But you know what? I think this actually is a really good key category that really shows you how international this group has become. They nominated Demon Slayer.
Yeah. I think
I love that. I love that, because like that's not gonna be nominated anywhere else. The Oscars wouldn't do that shit, but this is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, and I mean, out of all these, I would love it if Demon Slayer won, but yeah, I don't see that happening. But I think for Golden Globes, I think there's just no denying that this was a huge hit for at least the animation category, and I would like it to win also, just because that maybe people will be more interested in those
Demon Slayer.
Not Demon Slayer, but like just in anime, maybe when it comes out in movies again. So we can, at the very least, people can still watch those other ones like Your Name, or I can't remember the rest, but whatever that studio also made.
Okay. Best motion picture for non-English language. All of these are getting a lot of attraction and attention. It was Just an Accident, No Other Choice, Sentimental Value, Surat, The Secret Agent, and The Voice of Hind Rajab. So take those for what they're worth. I'm not going to go through every category here, but just ones that stick out. Okay, male actor in a motion picture drama. Dwayne Johnson. You could have removed that person. Jeremy Allen White. Hate him. Take him out. Just blah all around. Joel Edgerton. Okay. Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein. Sure. Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Okay. Best comedy musical lead female actor. Amanda Seyfried for Testament of Anne Lee. Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. Emma Stone, Begonia, Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue, and Rose Byrne. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. It is what it is. Here's Best Actor for lead musical or comedy: Ethan Hawke, George Clooney, Jesse Plemons, Lee Byung-hun, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Timothy Chalamet. This one, female supporting actor: Amy Madigan for Weapons, Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good, Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Emily Blunt, The Smashing Machine, Igna Ibsdaughter Linnaeus, Sentimental Value, and Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another. Best supporting actor: Adam Sandler, Ray J. Kelly, Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein. I almost said fantastic, but like, wow, he's getting in here. I'm happy. Look,
Yeah.
you were like, if he doesn't get nominated, it may actually be that he does get nominated. I'm actually quite surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it just goes to show you that some guys are just so hot that it doesn't matter that they're caked up in like the usual horror crap that would like eliminate them. You know, maybe if Andy Serkis was more attractive, maybe he would have gotten a nomination for what's it called, Planet of the Apes. Because I'm telling you, there's really no other explanation for why this is even here. Because usually they're not about this at all.
Mm-hmm.
But Jacob Elordi, I guess. Paul Mescal again for Hamnet. Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Director: Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Yeah. Okay.
That one's cool.
Screen. Was there?
That one's really cool. Like, it's kind of like a tough choice. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I know
It
who's
really
gonna win.
is, for sure.
I think I know who's
Yeah.
gonna win, but if you ask me, I'm kind of like, I don't really know.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I would put in James Cameron just because, you know, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be wowed by what, but I guess it's like been here, done that. So whatever. Screenplay: Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, Sentimental Value, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. Original score: Frankenstein, F1, One Battle After Another, Surat, Sinners, and Hamnet. And here is the one that we're all waiting for: cinematic and box office achievement. Avatar: Fire and Ash, F1, K-pop Demon Hunters, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Sinners, Weapons, Wicked for Good, and Zootopia 2. Anyway, now that that's out of the way with, you know, it's interesting that, you know, there's a lot that's been happening, but I'm just really thankful for the movies that we have. And before I think we're heading toward the close of this podcast, but I do want to make sure that I read some notes from Alexis that she sent over to us. She tried to do voice notes, but I guess it was just too much. So she sent over some written notes and just some thoughts of some of the movies that she has seen. So here's for Hamnet. I loved it so much, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. No notes on any of the performances. The wife is my favorite character to be shown in a movie in a long time. The way they show their love story and how they understand each other. And even when they get upset, there is always love. It's just too good. The death scenes, I think, are some of the most beautiful sequences that will stick with me forever. My favorite moment is after they have the first baby and William is having a crisis and she blames herself. And he assures her that is not true and that they are the most important thing to him. I just love it so much. 10 out of 10. And then here are her thoughts for Wake Up Dead Man. I had so much fun watching this. I thought it was so funny. Josh O'Connor is just the best. But of course, I already knew that. I think what this movie has to say regarding religion and its followers is very interesting, and I like the way they present it. in the very beginning when Josh's character is being reprimanded for punching someone when he does the fight stance, and then opens his arms and says, "Not this, but this." And when he says, when he gives his speech, when he first meets the detective, when the sun shines on him, are my favorite scenes, and I think what spoke to me the most. I gotta tell you, David, I feel like I've seen the Wake Up Dead Man 3 times now. I'm gonna watch it again for sure. I mean, it's gonna come out on Netflix this Friday, December 12th. So if you want to watch it again, it's gonna be there. Although I gotta tell you, David, I do kind of hate you because, low-key, if I lived in the same city you did, I would have gone back at least 2 more times because you see it, you have it available near you at a theater. I would have gone so many times to watch this, but whatever. It'll be on Netflix Friday, and I got to tell you, this has a lot of repeat value. And I've been rewatching the Knives Out films, and I think each of them have their thing about them that make them uniquely the best of the 3. This one, I think, has something quite special to it in that maybe it's less of a murder mystery and more of a movie about faith. It's really good. I gotta say, I think it's a great movie. I'm finding myself thinking about it a lot, and I'm really curious to see how this is going to resonate with people once it hits Netflix. So, yeah, I was quite moved by it, and I'm just happy that this one was very different. I don't know what I expected, honestly, when I saw it the first time. I guess maybe I just expected more of the same, but still good. Because if you give me more of the same and it's still good, I don't care. I don't complain about that. But this really was like, let's go over here and see how that goes. And what made it, I think, more important was like, it realized the most important thing about this movie was not the mystery. It wasn't the side tangents, or it was our Judd, Father Judd, and the evils and the heroics of religious institutions and what meaning they have on us as human beings.
No, yeah. I was also expecting the same thing as the other two. You know, great ensemble cast, funny movie, and all that. But yeah, like I mentioned, like that was the ensemble was kind of like the weakest in all 3 films, which I don't mind because Josh O'Connor absolutely steals the show. Like he really,
I think he makes up for it.
He makes up for it for sure, because I think his character development is like probably the best one out of all the movies. Because
all the movies, of all of them, probably. Yeah,
because you had the first one where she just kind of gains confidence, in herself. She stands up for herself.
Armas, that's
And then in the next one, I don't think there really was much of a character development with like the main, I guess, companion of Benoit's. It was
Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, I think it was her. It was just like she got somewhat of a closure for what happened to her sister. But with this one though, Josh O'Connor, like he had a character development of basically just kind of being able to be the man that he wanted to be, that he really fought for, really, in a sense, to be a priest, a good priest to people, to build a community and all that. Like I think that was absolutely fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah. So if this is somehow still playing near you guys, go watch it. And if not, still watch it on Netflix. I'm looking forward to see what those numbers are and see how many people tune into it. But I do feel like I hope it's a hit. I really hope it hits. I think people might have some really interesting responses to this movie. But then again, Glass Onion was too, but then people really twisted that discourse and it kind of became insufferable. So maybe that might happen again here too. We'll see. Well, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in once again. You got to keep the hope alive, guys. We have so much well, I don't know about all of you, but some of us have a lot of life left ahead of us, and so we can't let ourselves just be brought down by a lot of doom and gloom. You gotta find the things that keep you passionate, hold on to them, and move forward as best you can. Take it one step at a time, take it one day at a time. Meanwhile, we'll be right here at Red Spotlight, always providing our latest thoughts of what's happening in the world of movies and more. I want to keep you in mind, of course, that you should keep us in mind that soon we're going to be reviewing 2 big movies coming our way. Timothée Chalamet and Josh Safdie team up for Marty Supreme. May or may not land Timothy his first Academy Award for Best Actor. We'll see. And of course, I would say, easily the biggest entertainment event of the year, Avatar Fire and Ash. Big Jim coming our way. So stay tuned for a lot more of that and more. And also, I want to say the end of Stranger Things is nigh upon us. So that will also get a lot of attention, and we will be here to talk about that when that happens. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I haven't seen any of them. So
Okay. So whenever that happens, we'll come back to talk about the episodes that are there. With that being said, thank you everybody for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
bye.